On this week's episode of Conestoga Connected, Jeffrey Polfus faces his fear of heights.
Without fear, the truth is we'd all be risk takers.
We check out some yummy treats on Pretty Sweet. The team from Rescue Tales tells us about the Fisher Mills Animal Hospital. All that and more coming up.
Hello everyone, and welcome to what I'm sure is going to be an amazing season of Conestoga Connected. My name is Shanice Miller. This year, Conestoga Connected is entering season 14, and there's sure to be something for everyone. The students at Conestoga College have been working hard to bring you an amazing lineup, so let's meet my co-host Ryan Giesbrecht, who's going to kick us off.
These things are way too hard to get on. Some things should be left to professionals. Oh, hi everyone. I didn't see you there. My name is Ryan Giesbrecht. Today, we're going to start things off with Fraidy Cat Frights. Each week, we will witness a new host putting on a brave face and facing their worst fear. This week, let's join Jeffrey Polfus as he faces his fear at the climbing gym in Cambridge.
Hi there, I'm Jeff, and I've been afraid of heights all my life. When I was very young, my whole family was going to go to the UK, and I couldn't even get on the plane because I was too terrified. And today, they're going to make me rock climb.
I am Jeff of Fraidy Cat Fright, and today I'm going to conquer my fears of heights at the Core Climbing Gym in Cambridge, Ontario.
My name is Dr. Lori Ponsford-Hill. I am clinical director at the Counseling House. Fear is actually really meant to be helpful. Without fear, the truth is we'd all be risk takers.
And I think my foot goes here. Are you guys ready? Yep. Oh boy, I'm not.
So I found the easiest way to get over the fear of falling was to be only focusing on climbing instead of the falling part. So if you can really lose yourself in the climb and focus more on the physical aspect of climbing instead of the fact that you're 15 feet above the ground, then you'll have a much better time doing it.
Okay, I'm now officially terrified.
Unlike other sports where you can just run in one direction or pull something as hard as you can, with rock climbing you kind of have to stop and think a lot about how you're going to get to the top, because sometimes that's more challenging than actually physically getting to the top of a climb.
Oh, I don't like this.
It's really a physiological response, psychological response, right? As it is, it keeps us in check, so to speak.
It's not too scary when you start small, but when you get higher, it can be a little daunting when you're thinking about it.
Oh my goodness.
Most of the time, the big injuries are from falling. But most of those happened when I was in the early years of my career, so I learned how to fall a little bit better.
I don't like this.
Person can actually go into what we call a collapse state, where it is that they actually really, in essence, faint, all of which is actually really something that is trying to keep us safe.
Scared, very scared, very, very, very scared. How do I get up? How do I get up? There's nothing else to grab. I'm up, I did it. This has been Fraidy Cat Frights, proving to everyone that there is nothing to be afraid of.
Wow, it looks like Jeff really rocked conquering his fear of heights. Now, why don't we forget about what scares us and instead focus on something warm and fuzzy as Nicole Beer takes us to the Fisher Mills Animal Hospital in Cambridge. Let's take a look.
Welcome to the Fisher Mills Animal Hospital, where we're going to talk about animal care and all the wonderful things they do here. Let's go! Here in Cambridge, the staff at the Fisher Mills Animal Hospital do all they can to provide the best care possible for all the animals they see, emphasizing the importance of annual exams.
We only really ever see animals when they're sick, or, if we're lucky, we see them for their exams for vaccines, but not everybody does their vaccines. I wish more people just brought them in once or twice a year just to make sure that they are still good, because a lot of cats and dogs, aren't always, they don't always show signs until they are super sick. So it's good to get them in for their annual vaccines first.
Today we meet Echo, a 5-month-old rescued Australian Shepherd, who is here for an exam. By keeping up with his annual checkups, he will remain happy and healthy. Different dogs need different amounts of exercise. So before getting a pet, do your research and find the one that works with your lifestyle. With a very simple checkup like this, the veterinary clinic is just looking for any abnormalities. Starting with the whites of the eyes, moving on to your dog's nose, their ears, and then their gums and teeth. Finishing by checking their heart rate. Everything looks good. Fisher Mills works with a lot of animal rescue programs, including the Cambridge and Homeless Cat Rescue, the Fetch and Release program, Hearts to Homes, and more. Rescuing animals comes with the territory for many animal hospitals.
We work with a lot of rescues, actually, like local ones, and we do work with them. And then if we have animals that come in that need surrendering, like from clients and things, we will, we'll work with them to get to that point where the animal needs surrendering. Or if we have, cases with pregnant animals or things like that, we'll see what they need to get to the point where they're safe.
Thank you guys for tuning into Rescue Tales. We've already heard such fantastic stories, but if you come in next time, there's so much more to learn.
Now we're going to meet up with Liam Gaughan and the Pretty Sweet crew to check out the funkiest bakery with the biggest personality in the heart of Preston Town Centre. I'm sure we are all in for a treat. Let's check it out.
I'm here in downtown Preston checking out a local bakery with a lot of personality. Let's take a look at Cake Lovers Unite.
Although this is one of Cambridge's many small local bakeries, they've gathered a nice collection of awards, from the Reader's Choice Awards of 2017, 2018, and 2020, to the Employer Recognition Award and 2 awards for Favorite Wedding Cake Shop. Now let's hear how the ball started rolling.
So, Cake Lovers Unite kind of started by fluke, really. It was I decided to give away some cakes just to practice decorating, and people started talking about it. People loved it, so I just started doing it, and so I started making cakes in 2013. By 2016, I had opened up a commercial kitchen, which is at this location.
The store has a uniquely warm and cozy atmosphere emanating from the decorations on the wall to the props on the floor. The overall theme of the store is rockabilly, which is a mixture of country music and rock music originating from the 50s. Now let's check out what's hard to keep on the shelf.
Highest selling, I'd say probably strawberry shortcake, vanilla score, and probably chocolate peanut butter.
Alright, what is your personal favorite flavor combination?
I'm a chocolate girl, so mint chocolate is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Cake Lovers Unite is a quirky local bakery located in the Preston area of Cambridge, Ontario. As well as having a shop front filled with delectable cupcakes, they create custom cakes for all your special occasions. From all the orders, let's see what our bakers say is most memorable.
It's probably a toss-up between the one that I just made, which was a probably about 2-foot tall Spider-Man bust cake, or actually my wedding cake. It was a 3-tier Gothic design, black and purple. It was beautiful.
I'm Liam Gaughan, and this has been Pretty Sweet.
That sure puts my baking to shame. I guess I should try to focus on one of my other hobbies. I think I need some more practice. In the meantime, let's turn to live camera action as the crew checks out a local variety show near downtown Kitchener. From music to circus acts, there's a whole lot for host James Chapesky to discover.
Hello, here I am at the Branches in Kitchener, and tonight we are going to be watching an outdoor variety show. So I think it's going to feature some music, some circus, and some comedy, maybe some theater, and I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited for this. I just love variety shows. So let's come on in and take a look. Up with event organizer Ben Gordetsky to talk about what it takes to put on this type of event.
Degree of organization and a large degree of curiosity and trust. The variety for me comes from a place of like not knowing. If I knew exactly how each act would go, that would be very boring for me and for the audience.
Now, Carly Shulkin performs on an aerial hoop.
What's left to say?
She loves me!
The Flem Fatels perform some improv singing. Next up is Ben Gordetsky, singing and playing guitar. Kimberly Walker performs some incredible aerial art. Huron Myers recites an original poem.
Bum where my bum sits by the sink because a bum like your bum sat in a little city liquid on the beach between two trees respectful of the land with twigs and leaves. But you sat there because you sunburned and you...
The story is about not being incapable of thinking and taking ugly things and procreating them into more and more and more and finding the beauty in the patterns of that and in the creation.
Well, that was a really awesome variety show. It's kind of nice just sitting back and watching a nice little, small performance and seeing a bunch of different acts that I haven't really seen much of before. The improv, the circus was really amazing. Haven't seen anything like that before. The music was really nice, and I just really enjoyed the whole thing. So thank you so much for coming to watch live cameras action, and have a great day.
And last but certainly not least, we have a brand shiny new comedy sketch from the Bottom of the Bag team. This week's sketch is a story of a woman, exterminator, and many bugs that ends in fear, sadness, and pain. Not unlike a typical Saturday night for a full-time college student, let's take a look at this instead of taking a long, slow look at ourselves in the bathroom mirror at 3 in the morning. Enjoy.
Oh, good, you're here. Come on in. I only see them at nights and in the early mornings, once or twice a week at most.
Well, you know what they say, for every roach you do see, there's about 1,000 more you don't.
Okay, I have to go to work. Should I leave you to it?
Don't worry, I got everything under control.
Jesus Christ, what happened?
So many. Couldn't stop any of them.
Who did this to you? What happened?
About 2 minutes after you left, I sprayed between the crack in the stove and the counter, and all was normal until I heard it.
Heard what?
The war trumpets.
The war trumpets?
They went for the soft parts first. When I looked in the crack to investigate, they took my eye.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
I stumbled backwards as their ranks advanced forward. Their exoskeletons glimmered in the light like the bronze shields of ancient Roman warriors. In my retreat, I tripped over the coffee table and twisted my ankle. They held me down and tied me up.
These are some really advanced knots.
Well, I felt bad for them, so I kind of started helping.
Did you at least get rid of them?
Well, here's the thing. You know that cupboard over top of the toaster?
Yeah.
Well, we signed a treaty. It's theirs now. Here are the terms and conditions at the bottom. You sign here. I'll email you the payment information later.
But you didn't even get rid of them. They do have fantastic grammar and better handwriting than me. Can you pass the bread?
Out of gas. I'm only 2 blarsecs away from Burrito World. I guess they do not teach you what to do when this happens in driver's ed.
Well, that's all for myself and Shanice. Stick around for what is sure to be an entertaining second half of the show with John Grande and Jay Vanderhayden.
We're not done yet. Still to come on Conestoga Connected. Find out if Will has what it takes to master this week's signature move.
Probably not, no. All right, well, I'm ready to prove you wrong.
Don't call them llamas because these are Andre's alpacas.
Alpacas became a hobby.
Join Adventure Quencher as they meet some fluffy friends. Grab your short swords and prepare for battle with this week's Combat Corner. All this and more up next on Conestoga Connected.
Welcome to the second half of this week's Conestoga Connected. Thanks for staying tuned. I'm John Grande. We're going to be talking about some high energy fun and educational activities right here in the KW region. My co-host Jay Vanderhayden is going to kick us off.
Thanks, John. Great pass. Wait a second. That doesn't seem right. If you feel like your sports skills are lacking, don't worry. We're heading into Waterloo where Will Fleming will be teaching us some signature moves. Although, I highly suspect he just wanted to show off.
Welcome to Waterloo Park. Today I'll be learning a particular move in football that is sure to elevate my game from here to here. My experience with football has been throwing popcorn up into my mouth and criticizing players from the couch. So let's see how I do.
I've been playing since I was 5 years old, so 16 years of experience. My favorite memory was probably my first time playing. My brother's 5 years older, and I got to play in a game with him. My dad was the coach as well, so it was a lot of fun. My older brother, Caleb, he went overseas to play semi-professionally. He's the one that taught me the sidearm throw.
Oh, okay, so it's a pass-me-down. It's a generational talent, okay. So with just seeing me now, how do you think I'll do today, trying the sidearm throw?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to say like a 6 or 7.
Okay, I'm
take
confident
that. In you.
How much practice would it take someone to master the sidearm throw?
I haven't even mastered it yet, honestly. People like Patrick Mahomes are some of the only people to have it fully mastered.
Do you happen to have his number so we could use him in another episode? If you're not the master of the throw, I mean, I'm trying to learn from the best here.
Man, if you guys can afford Patrick Mahomes, go for it.
So do you think I'll be able to master it today?
Probably not, no.
All right, well, I'm ready to prove you wrong.
When you're given the sidearm pass, you want to be able to get down low and have your center of gravity a little bit lower so that we can get around people. You want to flick your wrist to make sure that your hand ends almost touching.
Snap of my wrist. See, that spiral's not great though.
Maybe it's you got to relax your grip. I find it personally easier to throw the ball like to the side when I'm looking directly at the person. Perfect.
Okay, I think you've taught all you can teach me now. It's time for the student to take on the master. We'll see who can hit the bench first. There's nothing on the line, but let's see who can do this.
Just a little bit of pride.
Well, this is my chance. Everything I've trained for. No! No! That doesn't count, it hit the ground. Oh, close. That's good! Yeah!
I think you nailed it. Next step, the NFL.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You are a great teacher. Maybe next time you'll be able to beat me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, to everyone who doubted me, I proved you wrong. I personally wasn't surprised that I won, although you may have been. I'd like to thank my guests for helping us out today and being such a great teacher. Bit of a sore loser, though. That's all the time we have for today, and I need to go practice some more.
Sports come in all different forms. Some you maybe have never even heard of, like live action role play. I think I'd make a great warrior. You know what? Maybe I need a little help. Let's check out this week's Combat Corner in Kitchener with Jay Vanderhayden to see if we can appease your knight in shining armor fantasies.
We're here at Litchwood Grove, better known as Victoria Hills Park, the Amped Guard live-action role-play Kitchener, Ontario home field. And today, we're talking short swords.
There are many different types of LARPs, but Amped Guard is a fantasy themed with a heavy focus on, you guessed it, combat. Although Amped Guard has a multitude of creative outlets, such as crafting, art, and food, the biggest crowds are drawn when the battle begins. Don't worry, you don't need to memorize every ability or be able to rattle off long spells right away. You can get started with just the basics.
In Amped Guard, we use boffer swords or boffer weapons that are representations of real weapons but made of foam. Short swords are the easiest to pick up and have the best weight to length ratio. You should have your knees bent to avoid injury with your sword foot forward. You want to generate power in your hips, push it through your shoulders to avoid causing stress on your elbows or wrists.
So the short sword's like the first thing that you learn to make. It's also the easiest. The most straightforward is you get a piece of PVC, 1/2 inch, put a pool noodle on it, some tape, and you're done. That's literally the short version of how to make it. There's other ways to make them with different foams. I personally have been playing long enough that I don't like pool noodle anymore, and I tend to go for some more expensive foams. There's a type of insulation that's only available in the States called Frost King at the right diameters, and that's my favorite foam to craft with.
That padding extends all directions, including on the stabbing tip, so it is also safe. After that, there's generally a layer of tape to make them waterproof so they don't deteriorate, and then a cover so they're nice and soft when we hit people with them. Cons to short swords is they're short. They don't have the same reach as something like a spear or a long sword would have. Other than that, they're pretty much good for everything.
Now that you've seen how easy it is to join in the fun, check out your local Amped Guard park. Now, let's duel! Ha! 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 Woo! Glad I made it back to the studio in time. Although, I think it might be safer if we keep that sword away from John. Continuing with sports, let's go check in with Luke Reinhardt as he kicks off some soccer techniques all aspiring athletes should know on Sports Rehashed.
Today we're here at Woodside Park in Kitchener, and today we're going to be talking about the world's most popular sport, which is soccer, or as it's known overseas, as football. Now I by any means am no professional, but luckily for us, I brought one today. This is Sierra Sauve, player for the Stratford Strikers and former player for Canada's under-17 team. Between the age of 16 and 17, she played in tournaments in Italy, and since then has played in a number of tournaments around Canada. Now, today, Sierra will be teaching us the fundamentals and science behind the perfect lob. From Sierra's explanation, the key to a perfect lob is to kick the ball from the lowest point to drive the ball up in the air. This allows the ball to travel a larger distance and reduce the risk of the opposing team interfering with the pass. Crosses are most effective when sent to a teammate in the opponent's box. This generates optimal scoring opportunities, whether it be a header or to a foot outside the box. So it looks like we've reached the end of our time. I hope you, the audience, learned a lot. I know I did for sure. So I want to thank you personally for coming on, being such a great guest and helping us out.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so again, hopefully you learned a lot. I certainly did. I know I definitely couldn't do this before. I probably still can't do it now, but it's good that I exactly know how to do it in case I ever wanted to. So I'm Luke Reinhardt.
And I'm Sierra Sauve.
And we're Sports Rehashed. Thank you for watching.
Sports have been a major factor in society all throughout history. Speaking of history, we're going to head over to Pier 9 in Hamilton with History Heroes to check out one of Canada's top naval destroyers.
HMCS Haida is the ceremonial flagship of the Royal Canadian Navy. But how did the ship garner such a title? Today, we climb aboard and explore the history and what makes HMCS Haida a history hero. HMCS Haida is one of 27 tribal class destroyers. Of all 27, 13 were scrapped and 13 were sunk, making HMCS Haida the last and only remaining tribal class destroyer in the entire world. The tribal class destroyers were built by Vickers Armstrong in Britain, starting in about 1942. It wasn't long after the ship was commissioned where HMCS Haida deployed to the Atlantic and began a now illustrious career.
HMCS Haida is known as the fightingest ship in the Royal Canadian Navy, having damaged or sunk the most enemy surface tonnage of any ship in the Canadian Navy up to that time, and still to this day. HMCS Haida had a very storied and iconic 20-year career. Starting during the Second World War, HMCS Haida accumulated 4 of its 5 battle honors. HMCS Haida is also a celebrated member of the Trainbusters Club. To gain admission to the Trainbusters Club, you had to shoot down both the locomotive and the supply of an enemy supply train.
Here are one of HMCS Haida's 2 main turret guns, dual 4-inch barrels. And here is the ship's torpedo launcher, capable of holding 4 torpedoes at a time. When they wanted to use the torpedoes, they would swivel it around to the side that they wanted. The railings would go down and then the torpedoes would be launched over the side of the ship. And up here is the open bridge. Everything that happened on the ship ran through the captain and his second in command right here. Look at me, I'm the captain now. Behind the camera is Conestoga Connected's very own host, John Grande, and he's gonna ask me some questions to make sure that I was paying attention.
What year was the ship built?
1942.
How many tribal class destroyers were there?
27 in total.
What is HMCS Haida's nickname?
Canada's fightingest ship. So that was Canada's fightingest ship. HMCS Haida is now a museum and a reminder of the tenacity, pride, and courageousness of the Royal Canadian Navy of both past and present. My name is Sam, and if you learned something new today, then my job here is done.
I hope we didn't go overboard with the history. Don't get seasick of us yet. We've got more with Amy Anstedt on this week's episode of Adventure Quencher as the crew visits an alpaca farm in Hanover, Ontario.
What's cute, fluffy, and great for yarn? You guessed it. Today, I'll be taking the team to Andre's Alpacas in Hanover. Come join us as we satisfy our thirst for adventure. Don't worry, I'll pack your bag. Henry and Karen Mengers are home to 84 alpacas and have been alpaca farming for 20 years and on location for 16 years.
I was nearing the end of my career looking for retirement and wanted something to do in my retirement. So alpacas became a hobby. Why alpacas? Between my wife and I, we're both born and raised in the country on a farm, and we've had experience with all the dairy, beef, pigs, chickens, and we didn't want to do any of that as we retired. So we started looking at alpacas and llamas and found out how wonderful the alpaca fiber was, and they're a gentle animal that we thought, yeah, let's try alpacas.
Because Henry is showcasing some of the alpacas, he feels it is very important to socialize them and get them comfortable with people. For our activity, we had the pleasure of walking some of his alpacas. As our adventures with the alpacas came to a close, there's one more very exciting aspect. Right next to the stable is a gift store. In the gift store, Karen sells many different products such as socks, hats, scarves, shawls, sweaters, plushies, and more.
You can dye alpaca. People like dye. They like the black and they like white. They don't like brown. So what I do is I take this to a mill in a they dye it this color and these colors and those colors. And I sell this for $35 and the natural fibers are sold for $30.
That's all the time we have for today on Adventure Quencher. Thank you, Henry and Karen, for having us up at the farm. It was so fun. If you'd like to find out more, visit andresalpacas.com.
What a wonderful way to spend an afternoon. You know, I think I'm gonna name my alpaca Llama. Oh, wait a minute. That's a sheep. Well, it's been an action-packed day. We've faced fears, battled foes, and trained our bodies and minds. I'm Jay Vanderhayden.
And I'm John Grande. We've had a great time showing you all that a local area has to offer. Thank you for watching this episode of Conestoga Connected. We'll see you next time.